Hi, this is Andi Stix from the Synergy Challenge. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Don Treffinger. Don is the president of the Center for Creative Learning in Sarasota, Florida. Welcome. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to talk to you, Andy.
As you know, we have a Synergy Challenge called Game Maker today that we have posted on our website and on our fan book page, and we would like to ask you a few questions. For what reasons do people become creative under certain conditions, whereas they shut down in other environments?
A lot of that has to do with the environment that people deliberately create or that they allow to go on, and a lot of it has to do with some deliberate strategies that they either use or perhaps fail to use. One of the things we know about an environment for creativity is that creativity flourishes when there's challenge and involvement and engagement. So a very important thing is for people to be involved in tasks that they're excited about, that they're eager to pursue and actively engaged in. It also helps if they have the freedom to explore ideas widely and to look in many different directions, and if they're working in a group, to feel trust and openness with the people with whom they're working. In any situation, when people are trying to motivate themselves to come up with creative ideas and to be productive, there are some basic ground rules that are important. The most basic one is to defer judgment when you're generating ideas. That means separating generating the ideas or coming up with possibilities from evaluating them or judging them. We find that if people judge ideas as soon as they're creating them, the judging takes over from the generating, and people start shutting down the generating process with too much evaluation too soon. So keep separate generating and judging the ideas and give time for both of those to occur. Another part of that is that creativity requires that we stretch our minds and extend our effort. It's very common for people to come up at first with ideas that are familiar to them, with ideas that they've heard or seen before. But you need to keep pushing, keep working for more ideas. Sometimes it takes 20 or 25 ideas before you can get to the point where you're really starting to come up with some new possibilities. If you're working with a group, look for opportunities to build on each other's ideas or to make connections. Sometimes we call that piggybacking or hitchhiking on each other's ideas. And finally, when you do evaluate the ideas, do so constructively. Try to build ideas up rather than just putting them down.
In the gaming industry, they form creative teams for brainstorming. For what reasons is it important for teachers and parents to brainstorm ideas as a catalyst for game design?
Yes, it is important, and it's important for a couple of different reasons. First of all, one of the things that we find when you're using brainstorming or any other tool, and there are a number of different tools for generating ideas, quantity can breed quality. That is, the more ideas you can come up with, the more likely it is that at least some of them will be novel and useful and will have some interest and excitement for you. Sometimes we find that when people are generating ideas, they don't stretch themselves enough and they don't really challenge themselves. So if you want something new and unusual, and we usually define creativity as ideas that are novel and useful, you have to really work at that process, and you have to give enough time and enough energy to let those new ideas come out. Secondly, I think we find that it's important to do that idea generating because we want to be able to look in new directions or to be more flexible in our thinking, to be able to turn it around a little bit, take a different perspective, or see it through fresh eyes that we haven't seen before.
If you were the head of a toy company and looking for creative talent, what criteria or indicators would you be looking for to select game ideas for the marketplace?
My colleagues Sue Beesimer and Karen O'Quinn have done a lot of research on what makes people call products creative. And I think not necessarily only in relation to games, but in many different areas, there are consistently three different factors that people look at in deciding whether a product is creative. Beesimer and O'Quinn referred to those as novelty and resolution and either elaboration and synthesis, or sometimes they call that third one style. What we find is that products that are regarded as creative are likely to be novel. That is, they're new, they're unusual. People are surprised by this. Oh, that's different. It might be a product also that turns the field around and looks at a challenge in a way that nobody's ever looked at it before. That's an aspect of novelty. Transformational it involves looking at things in ways that change our perspective on the field again. That notion of being flexible in our thinking. Resolution, the second factor, deals with whether or not a product actually solves a problem. Is it complete? Does it leave you feeling that you've accomplished something, that the problem that you started with has been resolved, and that you've accomplished a goal? And the style factor, or elaboration and synthesis, is the product attractive? Does it have some complexity to it? Is it elegant looking? Does it express some ideas in a new and interesting way? So all of those are specific dimensions that we look for in any creative product.
Excellent. So as students begin to work together, it's important for them to create an environment that is extremely suitable in order for them to produce the type of ideas that you were talking about. Synergy is the ability to connect two unrelated ideas, or having two people work together who have different talents. What recommendations can you give our audience on how they can make synergistic connections in order to produce a new and exciting game?
First of all, use those guidelines that I talked about initially to separate generating and judging, and to look for combinations and build on each other's ideas. Treat those as a very deliberate and explicit process. Second of all, know and use some tools like brainstorming and other tools so that your search for ideas has some mental tool to guide your effort there. Third, do make sure that you capture all your ideas, whether you write them down on a big piece of paper or record your session, but don't just say, oh, I'll remember that. You want to be sure that you're actually capturing the ideas you're coming up with. And the fourth thing that we found that's very important in creating that group synergy is to be aware of your own style and the styles of the people that you're working with. In our work on problem-solving style, we've identified three dimensions that are very important. We call them orientation to change, manner of processing, and ways of deciding. Orientation to change asks about how you tend to approach a problem or a challenge. Some people that we call explorers never met a new idea they didn't like. And the more new ideas they can come up with, the better, and the wilder the ideas, the better. Other people that we call developers say, we don't need all those crazy ideas. We need a few ideas, but we need a few practical, realistic, good ideas. The second part of manner of processing, do you get energy? Do you build your energy? And does it help your thinking to be socializing and talking and interacting with other people right away? Or are you more of an internal processor, and that is you prefer to think things through and reflect on the problem before you start talking about it with other people and exchanging ideas? The third part, ways of deciding, involves where do you go first when you're making a decision or a judgment? Do you give your first consideration to harmony and the people factors of human relationships? Do you want everybody to be able to get along and be cooperative? Or do you go first to the task itself? Do you look at the logic and the quality and the soundness of the decision? Do you want a good outcome or result as your first criterion? Clearly, a good game would deal with both of those. It would be engaging and people would enjoy doing it and work together. But on the other hand, also, they want a good result too. So the question is not do you do one or the other? The question is where do you go first?
Terrific. Our audience from the Synergy Challenge have heard so many wonderful ideas that you've shared with us today. Where can they go on the internet to get more specific information?
We have lots of resources and materials at our website. It's the Center for Creative Learning, and that's www.creativelearning.com. We also have a Facebook page, be facebook.com/Center for Creative Learning.
Wonderful. Well, Don, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to interview our audience today. Thank you so much. We hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Good luck to all your participants.
Thank you.